is, what did you think of your first governor's breakfast here in Cadillac?
Well, I thought the governor's breakfast was great. I mean, I love the audience concept about having the chambers bring in the business community and the students. It's a great combination. And it fit really well with the focus of what I'm trying to achieve, which is more and better jobs and keeping our young people in Michigan. So I couldn't ask for a better model audience. That was fabulous.
The students' questions, what did you think of them?
I thought the students asked good questions. I mean, the nice part is to see students interested enough to wanting to ask those questions. Because the way I view it is the more we communicate, the more we get them involved, the better off we are, because then they can feel part of the ownership of the situation, and I want them to be part of the solution.
And have you been to any other events where there's inclusion of, high school students or, teens like that before?
Yeah, the good part is that on a fairly regular basis, people are thoughtful, but this would be the largest, I think, in terms of number of students mixed with business people. I've had bigger student events, but this was a great combo, and it's just a great forum and wonderful event. I'm happy to be here.
And do you think you'll be back next year?
Well, I hope so.
All right.
That's the billing, at least.
Are you surprised from the reaction that your budget has received once you've kind of released it to the masses, including like the protests around the state in Lansing here, and then also the recall petition? I mean, are you surprised by this reaction?
No, I expected it, and actually I said that on the campaign trail, because I made the point that when you ask for difficult change, even when you have a broken system, human nature is such that when change finally arrives, people tend not to like it. And I am asking for some sacrifices from people. But I believe those are shorter term sacrifices. And what I hope people will do that are upset right now is after that initial reaction, they'll be able to step back and recognize it's for all our best interest in the long term. And our whole package is focused on job creation, keeping our young people here, and making a better Michigan for all of us so we can win together.
Education, or some people in education feel they've been slighted by this budget, and they cite the using the school aid fund to balance the community college and university's budget. Do you think that that's an accurate statement, or why don't you feel that's an accurate statement?
Yeah, with respect to K through 12, and some of their reaction is, one is making the difficult is hard because our kids are our future, but as a practical matter, if you look at, we had to do a 5% cut versus 10%. So we actually tried to scale the cut down as much as possible given the entire budget situation. We came out with proactive ideas on how they might address some of the cuts in terms of recovering those costs. And with respect to the question about adding community colleges and universities to the school aid fund, the guidance you have is the Michigan Constitution. The Michigan Constitution makes it clear that the school aid fund is also intended for higher education. It's right in the opening sentence there. So in many respects, it's unfortunate that they're trying to make an issue of something that's absolutely clear in the Michigan Constitution.
Do you think that the budget helps to create opportunities? I know you talked about it's not the government's job to create jobs, but do you think it creates opportunities for jobs here in northern Michigan?
Well, the government does not create jobs. It shouldn't be the main engine. It's how do we create that environment. But it can make a difference in doing that. One illustration would be Pure Michigan. The government is helping pay for that campaign, and it's a case where if you look at it, I believe that fundamentally does help our tourism in Michigan significantly. And the way I can justify it from being governor is if you look at the math, that it brings in more than 2 tax dollars for every tax dollar we spend. So there's a positive return on investment, so it's a win for all of us.
Do you think that the public in general understands what your budget cuts mean, or do you think there's a lot of misinformation about some of the cuts that you are proposing?
Well, generally the public's smart and they make bright, good decisions. There is a lot of misinformation out there, which is unfortunate. But I have confidence as people look at it and have a chance to review it. That's why I enjoy opportunities to do interviews like this. It helps clarify and answer those questions. And we continue to get positive feedback. I believe the majority of people in Michigan support what we're doing.
How do you think your proposed budget helps businesses, and specifically, you've kind of mentioned already, tourism, and then also industry?
Yeah, well, in terms of our tax and budget proposals, we're talking about significantly changing the tax system. Getting rid of the Michigan business tax is a huge benefit because most jobs are going to be created by small and medium-sized businesses in Michigan. And the MBT has been a job killer. It's been an unfair tax. Because again, most people don't recognize that most small business people are paying on their individual tax returns already, just like you and me are on our salary and wages and other earnings. But in addition, we were asking them to pay a second tax. That wasn't fair or right. So basically, we're changing the system to encourage them to grow by saying, shouldn't you pay the same amount the rest of us pay in a fair, simple system?
Now, you kind of mentioned agriculture and its role in the reinvention of our state. What do you think agriculture is going to do in the future here to help the state get back on track?
Well, I'm excited about agriculture, and it's been one of our unsung heroes. It hasn't gotten enough attention or coverage. And if you go back over the last decade and you look at Michigan's economy, agriculture actually did pretty well over the last decade in terms of thriving, growing, being supportive of our state. And I think there's more positive opportunity there. There are more export opportunities coming. That's one reason we need the new crossing to Canada. That helps with export opportunities. But I think from an economic development point of view, we should be looking at more agribusiness opportunities because we're growing the commodities here. Michigan's the second most diverse agricultural state in the nation. We could be doing more, and these are operations that could be set up in many parts of northern Michigan. One good illustration is Reed City with Yoplait. I mean, they're bringing in sugar from Michigan, they've got fruit here, they've got other milk from Michigan sources, so it's a great opportunity to say, let's bring these things all together and do value-added processing that create jobs and help our state.
What are your thoughts on the wind farms that have popped up in our area, especially in McBain, and the future of alternative energy sources?
Yeah, in terms of alternative energy sources, we need to look at that. It's a balancing act, and you have to balance economics in terms of cost. You have to balance the science of what works and was thoughtful, and then the environmental considerations. So there are really three legs that are a balancing act. Onshore wind has some merit today. It's really figuring out the highest and best use and how to do that, understand the environmental issues. I think offshore wind is farther out there, and we shouldn't be doing it until clearly there's a well-developed set of how to do it the right way and the best way and a thoughtful way that respect all those kind of issues. And I don't think the cost should be there to have it make sense until we get that done.
Okay. Natural gas exploration. Do you have any comments on that? And, obviously, there's been a big find in our area recently.
No, I'm excited about what's going on with natural gas in Michigan, and it's helping our state. Most people don't recognize that. We had a record year last year of lease income on natural gas in particular, and what that did was actually help fill up the Natural Resources Trust Fund, where now dollars are going to go to a second trust fund that'll be reinvested in improving our parks and recreation in the state. So it's actually an opportunity that for leveraging our natural resources, we're actually going to be able to reinvest in other natural resources in our state, and that's a great equation.
Do you think your budget's going to be ready by May 31st?
I believe the budget will be ready by May 31st. We're focused on it, and I believe if you talk to the legislative leadership, they still believe we're on a path to get there by that date, which would be huge.
Even if you aren't going to make that date, which sounds like you're pretty sure you will, do you feel even having it done maybe in June or July is better than what has been done in the past, or is that kind of a failure in your mind?
No, absolutely. Being done in the first half of the year would be a big success, because if you think about history here, it's September 30 to October 1st. It's been the history in our state, which is just not right. There was no need for that, and it just shows the broken culture and the broken systems in our state. Because if you think about it, our municipalities, our schools can plan much more effectively. Everyone benefits by us getting this decided, done, and behind us so we can move on to other important issues.
What are you asking of municipalities like the city of Cadillac in terms of, kind of doing the shared services? And also, what are your I guess, thoughts on revenue sharing?
Sure. With respect to jurisdictions and revenue sharing, we're replacing the traditional statutory revenue sharing with a economic vitality incentive program to actually encourage best practice. And I think it's the things we're already asking ourselves to do at the state level. So it's to do it in partnership, not tell them what to do, but say, here are things we're doing that we think are positives. And they include things like looking at accountability and transparency, doing a dashboard, doing a citizen's guide to financials. Second category is service sharing and service consolidation. I'm looking at the surrounding communities, the county, the state. How can you partner on working together to be more cost efficient with better quality service? The third one is on the employee compensation side, how can we look at medical insurance premium sharing, other cost savings that are long-term things that are important to being fiscally responsible.
I think that's all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice talking with you.